arms. Why did Angela Merkel open her arms and embrace the multitudes of it?
Right.
And there is something very, very irrational in many people's mind about the way Angela Merkel in Germany behaved.
Well, I think that's a possibility. I think that is a possibility. I spoke earlier about the way we all like to tell ourselves that what you call preemptive submission is a sign of moral virtue. So, in other words, we're not surrendering to an invading army of fit, vigorous young men because we're compassionate and altruistic. We're taking in all these refugees. That this is a way. This is a way of dressing up our cowardice as a form of moral virtue, and it may well be that with Frau Merkel. But I think there's something else too, and I think that is the arrogance of the European political class. And I use that term because I don't really like the word European as anything other than a geographical adjective, because obviously there's huge differences between Scotsmen and Greeks or whatever. But there is at the upper level, there is, I think, a European political class that is so intellectually and emotionally invested in a proposition that it cannot abandon it without, in a sense, destroying itself. And along with that goes a kind of arrogance that Angela Merkel understands. She is a childless woman. When she defeated Gerhard Schröder, it was a childless woman versus a childless man. That would be an extraordinary thing in any US presidential election, to have a childless Republican running against a childless Democrat. So in a sense, they symbolized Germany's demographic barrenness. And she has always understood this. What do you do about that? You could encourage people to have more babies. 40% of German female university graduates are childless. They don't want to. They have a lifestyle that doesn't permit children. You could import people from Spain, where there's a high youth unemployment rate, an extraordinary high youth unemployment rate in Spain and Greece. But, would there be enough of them? Or can you go to where there's an unlimited sense of manpower, which is the Muslim world? And what does it matter? Because you're Angela Merkel, and you can turn these people into functioning citizens of a free Germany. And I think, in the absence of any other explanation, I think a certain arrogance that is part. Now, obviously, it's every paper in the last. I'm so bored with reading them. Every Western newspaper has an article beginning with a German mayor in some town or other saying, "Oh, well, in the last 20 years, 3,000 people have left our town, and we don't have enough children for the school anymore, and so we need people, so we want to welcome all these refugees." The Guardian in London and the New York Times all run these pieces. And one of these mayors, I forget which town it was, said, how can you have a German village without a school, without a butcher's, without a baker's, without a village pub? Well, if you import Muslim men, you're not going to have a village pub. You better plan for a much smaller Oktoberfest, because Muslims don't like to drink beer. The butcher is going to be halal. The school, if it adjusts to the values of the people you're bringing in, is going to be a school geared towards an Islamic student pool. The problem is not what is a German village without a village pub. The question is, what is Germany without Germans? It's just a bit of real estate. And I think that's I think that's what she's missing, if she is missing it. And the idea that you can semi-Islamify your society and remain Germany or remain France is a complete waste of time. Think of Germany as a country where everything works very well. It works superbly. They make the best cars. Everything is on time. Their engineering is brilliant. And that, that Lufthansa thing, the idea that somehow the one of the prime airlines in the world, a crazy guy can just lock him in the cockpit. Yeah, I don't want to see the symbolism in that, but in some ways you can, as I understand it, Angela Merkel's coalition partners in Germany don't agree with her on the Christian Democrats don't agree with her on this thing. They feel like the guys in the plane, that Angela Merkel is the crazy woman who's locked herself in the cockpit and is flying Germany into the mountains. These things do become symbolic. Though I'll tell you this: Germany's reputation as a place where everything works like clockwork. That's not going to survive if there aren't Germans. That's a product of. We all understand that. When Angela Merkel has her dealings with Greece, and the Greek government says, we want you to pay reparations for World War II or whatever, she understands that the problem with Greece ultimately is not the Greek finances but the Greek people.
Yes, right.
That there's a difference. There's a difference between the German people and there's a difference between the Greek people. And this idea that all human capital is the same, Angela Merkel can't even turn Greeks into Germans. How is she going to turn Afghans into Germans? That's the question she doesn't seem to have asked herself.